Hi, I'm Jamie, your host for the Not Going to Uni podcast, where we talk all things emerging talent and alternative routes to university. In today's episode, we're joined by Gabriella, a Management Consultant Apprentice from Atkins. Hi, Gabriella. Welcome to the podcast. Great to have you on. Do you want to just give our audience a brief introduction to yourself?
Of course, thank you for having me on. So my name's Gabriella Goddard-Palmer. I'm currently a second year degree apprentice at Atkins, doing a management consulting degree apprenticeship with my degree being in project management.
Amazing. Great stuff. So, do you want to just give us a brief overview then to your journey so far and how that's been?
Yeah, of course. So I started looking for apprenticeships in sort of year 13, very beginning of September when people started applying for uni. I knew since the beginning I wanted to do an apprenticeship just because I don't think I have much patience for academia anymore. So I wanted to get a bit more hands-on. So I applied for apprenticeships, applied for loads and loads, and started with Atkins straight after sixth form in September 2021. Been there now for nearly 2 years. Loved it, really enjoyed it. I've been mostly involved in net zero work. So I was on an internal project helping our company reach net zero. And then I was on a client project helping a defence organisation try and reach net zero as well. So there's loads of interesting work that's been going on. I've been getting involved in socials, getting involved in internal projects, talking to senior people in the company, seeing how we can improve the organisation. So loads of opportunities. But yeah, that's a very, very brief overview of what I've been doing. But it's been really great.
Amazing. So let's talk a little bit more about degree apprenticeships then. I mean, we both know how much they've increased in popularity over the past couple of years, and more employers are introducing them to their programs and ultimately hiring more individuals like yourself. When you kind of came across the degree apprenticeship opportunity, I mean, I'm not sure when you kind of discovered it. Was it kind of a new opportunity in the market? Was it something that you always had your eye on?
Yeah, definitely. I think, as you said, the popularity of them has definitely improved. And I think there's less of a stigma now that apprenticeships are just for those who didn't want, couldn't get into uni. I know when I was saying, within sixth form, people asking you, what uni are you going to, or what are you doing after sixth form, I'd say a degree apprenticeship. They'd kind of, look like, oh, like, what's that? Or, oh, you're doing one of those. It sort of reactions depended. But I think now it's very much, people who have gone to uni say to me, oh, I wish I did that route, or older people saying that's a really good choice you've made. So I think there's definitely a culture shift in degree apprenticeships. I think they are becoming a lot more popular. But yeah, when I applied, I didn't really know much about them. I don't think many people did, and I don't think many people still do. So things like this is great to keep on spreading that awareness.
Yeah, absolutely. And the term management consulting, I know lots of people get confused by the term. It's a very broad term, and I've seen on your socials kind of your days in the lives in terms of what that actually looks like and what the term actually means. But for our audience maybe listening that's new to you and new to kind of what you do at Atkins, can you talk to us a little bit about your day in the life? What does a typical day in the life look like for a management consultant?
Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people say this, but it honestly depends on the day and what sort of how busy your project work is. So we have a bit of a hybrid ways of working, where we aim to be in the office kind of 2 days, 3 days a week. I quite enjoy going in the office because it motivates me a bit more, and I kind of slack if I stay at home, to be honest. So get into the office, check emails, check expenses, because we usually get a lot of expenses for like traveling. So we can get like free coffee and free lunch if we've gone somewhere. So check those are all okay. Lots of meetings. I think consultants are known for just talking all day. That's sort of a bit of a meme, you may say. They just talk and make PowerPoints. So there's a lot of research that goes on for the clients. They're usually asking us to help them solve a problem. So we'll be doing research and sort of strategizing how we can help this client. So sort of producing workshops for those, actually attending the workshops and with the client, interacting with them. Lots of coffee and tea breaks, lots of socializing. It's a very social job. You have a big team around you. And if you are a consultant, you quite like to talk and you're a bit extroverted. So yeah, it's always a really nice environment. And yeah, a lot of traveling as well in some cases. If I'm based in Bristol, but sometimes I have to go to London or like Manchester. So yeah, lots of working on the train, etc. But it honestly depends on your client, what your client is, what the contract is, what like the work you've actually been contracted to do. Depends on your day. And yeah, lots of other bits and bobs, but hopefully that's a bit of a
Yeah,
varied.
amazing. Sounds like you've had some great opportunities so far, particularly being an apprentice as well. I think that conception of being an apprentice that you're not going to be given those opportunities sounds like you've definitely broke this typical trend there. Absolutely. So what is in terms of Atkins as a company and what they do, and ultimately within your role, what do you enjoy most about your job?
Um, I think it's a mixture between firstly the amount of different projects and clients you can work for. So I'm in the aerospace defense sort of defense. I'm in the aerospace security defense and tech sector. So we have so many different clients dotted around, and I think as a consultant, you can apply so many of your core skills to any type of project. So I could be doing a project in net zero and then be put on a project in, I don't know, aerospace engineering as, project managing that. And they're two completely different things. But because of the core skills I have as a consultant, I can easily sort of adapt to that. So I love that. And then also just the people I work with. As I said, consultants are usually quite talkative and quite very teamwork orientated. So be able to collaborate and work with lots of other people, it's really, really nice, enjoyable.
Amazing. And what we see a lot from our other degree apprentices, whether that's people who are future degree apprenticeships that people are applying for through our website, but also our current ambassadors such as yourselves who's doing a degree alongside a full-time job. How do you find managing that? And talk to us a little bit more about the degree that you're studying specifically at Atkins as well.
It is tough. It is really tough. I don't think anyone has perfectly, well, I say that anyone I know has perfectly sort of grasped that exact time management and being able to perfectly do your assignments on time every time and be able to balance your client work amazingly. So it is definitely difficult, but I think the company are really flexible and they're really understanding of that extra commitment you've got. Especially in comparison to sort of graduates who you're sometimes compared to. They're obviously working 5 days a week, but sometimes you're expected to do the same job as them, despite technically working 4 days a week, having that one day for uni. So there is definitely an extra pressure on us, but you get used to it. Like I'm pretty, standard now. I know, okay, I can't leave my assignment last minute. I should start it when I'm given it. I know who to ask for help. I know how to structure my essays now. So you get used to it and it gets easier. And my degree itself, I think I do quite enjoy my degree. I think there are obviously drier elements, but I think everyone can say that about their degree. So in project management, it's a lot around stakeholders, how to manage stakeholders, things like risk management or costing or scheduling. So it's a lot of really applicable skills you learn. You can literally apply to anything. I think that's why I love it so much. Is I can be a project manager in one, in the music industry, but then completely turn it around and be a project manager in defence. So it's, I love how different and so many different directions I could take my degree. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, no, that's great. In terms of anyone looking to get into management consulting, whether that be potentially at Atkins, but other companies out there that offer a similar or identical degree, what would your kind of advice be to those looking to get into it? And when you look back on when you were applying to those opportunities, what were you kind of doing? Have you got any tips for our audience that might be listening?
Yeah, I think really understand the job you're applying for. If you search up core skills of consultants or a project manager, etc., look at those skills and think, okay, they're clearly things that I'll have to be doing and doing well. So if you think they don't apply to you, or if you think that you won't enjoy a certain element, then just really think it over. Because I know, especially with social media, if you're looking at mini vlogs or aesthetic videos and thinking, oh, I want to do that, sometimes there's a bit of a false expectation. So, do a lot of research into the job and a lot of research into the degree. Because I think when people are applying for university, they look so much into the university, they go and visit it, they ask people what it's like, they look at the area, and it's the exact same thing as if you move into another company. And in most times, you're there for even longer. You're committed to that company for, up to 7 years sometimes for apprenticeship. So just do your research, make sure it's something you definitely want to do, and reach out to people in the industry as well, to see if other apprentices. If you look on LinkedIn, like if you try to find me, put Management Consultant Apprentice, just reach out and say, hey, I'm interested, can you tell me a bit about your job? Usually people love to talk about it, and talk about themselves, their experience. So yeah, just reach out to people and make sure you know what you're getting into.
It goes a long way to do that extra bit of research, doesn't it? Whether that be potentially an apprentice that started maybe a couple of years ago that's obviously further on to the course, it gives you that insight that maybe the application process didn't, doesn't it?
100%.
So in terms of when you look back to when you were applying for apprenticeships, just a quick one on one, how many kind of apprenticeships did you apply for? But two, how did you know, that Atkins was the company for you when it came down to deciding on an offer?
I applied for loads. I think it was over about 20 by the time I got around to it, because I think degree apprenticeships are becoming so competitive. You don't want to just apply for one or two companies and then get to the end of application season and not get a job, and then sort of left with not many other options. So probably about 20-ish in that region I applied for. And I knew Atkins was the one for me because firstly, the recruitment process was just amazing. I still remember my main recruiter now. His name's Sean. He was just absolutely lovely, and throughout the process, just how friendly he was, and the whole recruitment team, that really meant a lot. I think when you're first joining a company, if I'm being brutally honest, they were my first offer, so I accepted it.
Okay.
Hoping for others, and I did get a couple other offers, but they were sort of based up north. So because I'm down south, I thought, okay, it's I want to stay near home, to be honest. So it just felt like a really good company to me. Is what I was interested in. The sectors they work for really diverse and interesting. So yeah, and I think also there was lots of global opportunities with Atkins. I got dotted all around the globe, so that was something I was really interested in. Whereas the other companies didn't offer that as much. So
Yeah, and that actually leads on really well to my next question in terms of your future and where do you see yourself potentially if you've got a kind of 3 to 5 year plan? I know us Gen Zers don't like to look ahead too much because one, there's opportunities are constantly changing, but also just focusing on kind of the present and just going from there. But have you got yourself kind of a longer term plan at all?
I don't. I think the most I've planned is knowing what sort of where I want to live. So my apprenticeship finishes in sort of June 2025. And I'm obviously based in Bristol right now, so I'm thinking maybe move into the London office, stay there for a little bit. As I said, Atkins have got global offices, so maybe transfer into somewhere abroad. But I think as far as it goes, that's the most planning I've done. In terms of projects or clients, I'm not sure, but yeah.
Amazing. And going back to your interview process, I know degree apprenticeships can be quite a lengthy process, but how were those processes for you, and what would be your kind of biggest tip to anyone applying for any, whether that be level 4, level 3 apprenticeships, but also the degree level? What would be kind of your advice to them preparing for those interviews?
I think do some research on what you're expecting. I think usually on job websites they'll have the recruitment timelines. They'll say you apply here, then you've got a phone call interview, then you've got an assessment centre or another interview. So just prepare yourself, excuse me, prepare yourself for that and understand what that process is. I was really nervous going into my interviews because I'd never really done a formal interview before. I had a Saturday job at a garden centre, but that wasn't exactly a strenuous recruitment process. So yeah, just breathe, I think relax, and honestly just be comfortable with your interviewer. If you are doing an interview, if it's in person or on the phone, just build up that rapport, because I think as an apprentice, your charisma really needs to show through in your personality. So don't feel like you have to be, really serious and really robotic, and just be yourself, let loose a little bit, ask lots of questions. That's really important. Ask lots of questions, even if you already know the answer. Just make sure you ask at least a few to show your interest and show your passion. And once again, just do as much research about the company as you can and enjoy it, because I actually quite enjoyed interviews. And once you get into the swing of things, if you're like me and have applied for about 20, then they sort of become normal, and it's just, having chats with different people and exploring different companies and what they offer. So it can be exciting if, or maybe that's just me. I don't know if that's weird.
You might be the only one out there that, but I guess we'll find out when this podcast gets released. But I guess to wrap things up, Gabriella, knowing what you know now, both in management consulting, but also in life as well, with your obviously building your personal brand, posting on social media, what would you tell both our younger audience as well, but also your younger self, knowing what you know now? Is there any kind of advice or tips that you'd give to those people?
This is so cliche, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But just be yourself. I cringed at myself even just saying that, but it's so true. I think within school, it can seem like it's a small little bubble, and you have to stick to sort of friendship groups and you have to act a certain way. But once you leave that environment, you start a job, you start an apprenticeship, I think it's a perfect time to start being yourself and just letting people get to know the real you. I think that's what people really appreciate, especially in, for example, consulting. We are the service, we are the people of what the client is paying for. And if you're not an enjoyable person to work with, or if you're trying to act a certain way, then it may come across wrong. So I think just be yourself, show your passion, and just enjoy everything. Work's not meant to be this dull thing. So as you mentioned, I post a lot on social media as me, partially as a bit of a creative outlet, but also trying to show people that it can be enjoyable and there's things to look forward to and there's different routes other than just university. So yeah, be yourself, enjoy your work, enjoy other things, and yeah.
That's great advice. Great advice. No, cliche is fine. Well, that wraps up the podcast then. So, Gabriella, thank you so much for joining us from sunny Portugal. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And yeah, thank you for coming on and speaking about yourself and your opportunities that you've had.
No, thank you so much.
Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to check out each episode on your chosen streaming platform and head over to the Not Going to Uni website to start your future career.